Hello there and welcome to my reaction to even fancier paintings on Incognito mod channel. Surprisingly, because I thought it'll be on the main internet historian channel, but it isn't. But not like it matters, it's still gonna be a banger. I just know it. And this video came out quite a bit ago, so over a day ago. And I didn't rush it because the last video had the 48 hours like ask to not post. Which I've seen some reaction channels did post before that. I didn't. I'm a good boy. I don't know. And yeah, I'm much more versed in paintings than I am in theater. Still barely anything, but at least more. Like, subscribe, become a member. Let's begin, shall we? Also, I'm gonna guess he's gonna say something like NordVPN isn't like other girls or something, some nonsense.
NordVPN isn't like the other girls.
Told you.
Hello, incognito mode
Definitely
videos
didn't
now.
see that intro before.
Alright, so the schedule for this mini-series goes like this. We did the main channel on theater, then an incognito mode on painting, which is this. Then there's a main channel on wine, and then an incognito mode on a bunch of stories around wine. And there's a main channel on things that people wear. There's a main channel on luxury goods, and then we round the whole thing off with 2 more incognito modes.
Right, he's making
and then
wine.
I go back into cryostasis. This first section is on the basics of painting, and we were a little bit worried to show it because we kind of felt like this will split the audience. Not because it's political or anything, but because it's so basic. So someone who already knows something about art would be like, yeah, of course, why are you telling me this? But for someone like me, who knows practically zero about art, I found it really interesting, and I thought, why the heck haven't I been told this before, right? So,
let's see if I know a single thing he's gonna say. Also, I guess I could have recorded this immediately as soon as I saw it.
Action! The arts. The arts.
Because there's no 48 hours ask this time.
Do not put an F in front of that. Worst mistake I ever made in my life. Alright, first, some things that'll make you go, yeah, and? Or, oh, right. So look at this colorful goo. Paint. Delicious in both jam and chip form. But its raw components are just 2 essential things. An undissolving pigment and a medium. Now, pigments are basically just colorful dust. And the medium is the liquidy thing that the dust hangs out in. Now, the liquid determines what type of paint you have. Pigment plus water equals watercolors. Pigment plus glue equals acrylics. Pigment plus oil equals oil paints.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So simple. And pigment plus, moving on. Now, the pigment does not dissolve into the medium. Instead, it's just kind of suspended in it. When the pigment does dissolve,
they kind of work in symbiosis.
That's a dye. So that's the basic difference.
Oh.
Now you have to transfer the paint onto the canvas.
I learned something.
To do that, we need to talk tools. Well, first you can just use your fingers. It was good enough for the cavemen, and it's good enough for your mom. So it's good enough for us. Then we tried brushes.
It's my mom's birthday
now here
today.
is the anatomy of a brush. You've got the handle, the bristles, the ferrule, and the crimp. Now the bristles are the most important bit. First, we were just using mangled up reeds called fronds, but they got really good once we started using animal hair. Have a look at some of the animals we used.
Hog.
Taken from the neck or the back of the pig. That is the kind of brush that Van Gogh used, and it's still the gold standard for today.
I know that guy.
A goat brush. It's good.
He was in one of the episodes of Doctor Who.
Lacks some spring, so it's mostly used for calligraphy. Badger. Now that's actually mostly used for shaving, not painting at all. Horse, raccoon, and wolf, also not great quality. But what's the worst quality of all? You know,
human hair.
The gutter oil of the brush world. Well, the worst quality is camel hair brushes. And they're mostly sold as arts and crafts brushes for kids. But the weird thing is, camel hair is so low quality that it's not even used in brushes at all.
Oh.
Yes. So-called camel hair brushes are actually made from cats and rabbits and squirrels. But that makes people kind of sad.
Game of
So
the
they
year,
changed
possibly?
the name
We'll
to
see.
a much less cute animal, and also one that's kind of exotic, so you wouldn't question it. Now, what's the best brush of all? What is the S tier of brushes? Those are made from sable.
Oh my god, this, of
Oh,
course. 10 out
sable
of 10.
cats or
Now,
whatever.
sable is a type of weasel. These are hunted for their fur
sure.
for clothing.
Uh-oh. No,
It's him.
don't do it, American
But when they catch
sniper,
them to make
I think.
clothes, they actually only want the body for the clothes, and so they discard the tail altogether. But those tails have the best hair for paintbrushes, and so they are snatched up by the brush makers. Now, the hair is special because it has an interlocking scales that vastly increases the surface
It's
area.
like, it's terrible. Like, I'm not a vegan or vegetarian. I do like eating meat and all that stuff, but I feel like I'll draw the line killing animals for, like, just fur and making, like, just fancy clothing out of it. If it's a necessity, that's totally fine. But if it's like kind of luxury just to have, ooh, look at my winter coat with real animal fur, like, is that worth it? Just wanted to say that out of nowhere.
But it also holds strong in the long
But like at least they kind of collaborate, these people, and use parts for something and not discard the part that they don't need. That part is used by someone else. At least, like,
firm and bouncy, but also soft.
It's smooth, it bounces, it moves. Only with new Tresemme Keratin Smooth.
And they sell for upwards of $300 a brush.
that's like a smaller one, I think.
All right, here's a top 10 list, sort of maybe Watch Mojo style, of the most famous paintings, and just a few interesting things about them
Okay,
that
let's see.
you may not know. Pop quiz, sports shoe wearer. Look at this painting. What does it
Okay.
make you feel? Too
Nothing.
late. Or if you answered in time, wrong answer. Happy, sad. I bet those are the only two emotions you even know. The correct answer is shame, because you are embarrassing yourself. You know nothing about the arts.
That
so
is
it is
pretty much
time to
true.
look at the best paintings
Well, that
to
one's
ever
good.
exist. And let's begin with the
I want to
most-
show something. That Darth Vader Starry Night reminded me. Where is it now? Oh no, I'm wasting time. I'll be back in a sec. I promise. It's worth it. I'm back. I don't want to edit the video, so I'll try my best. I tried my best to be fast. But about this passport cover, and it's like a Starry Night Doctor Who thing. I thought it was relevant, that's why I went for it. I just think it's cool because there was a Van Gogh in the actual lore of Doctor Who in the story in one of the seasons, and it's great. So I thought it was worth it. Ooh,
most obscure of them all.
let's continue.
Whoever this is.
It's Among Lisa. Lisa Among Us.
Ah, the Mona Lisa. Now, I thought it went first name Mona, last name Lisa. Check it out. But turns out Mona is an honorific, meaning madam. So it's Madam Lisa. Now, relatively recently, historians have figured out who she actually is, and they found out that she's married to a Florentine merchant, Francesco del Giocondo.
Was married.
So that makes her Lisa del Gioconda, and that explains the alternative title of the work, La Gioconda. Now, the reason she has
Oh
her arms
yeah. I heard the other name before, but I think I only heard it like when was talk about it in Russian, and pronunciation was like I think Jaconda or maybe Jaconda. I don't remember exactly. Not like Giaconda. I don't know which one is correct.
crossed and is a little bit chubby, it's because she's pregnant. In fact, you can kind of see that she's
Oh.
wearing a veil, and that particular type of veil was worn by pregnant women at the time. Her
Oh,
husband commissioned the
interesting.
painting when Da Vinci was already well known, so it would have been very expensive, and that makes it very funny for a couple of reasons. One,
Okay.
it was never handed over to the family. Instead, Leo left it in his will to his apprentice. And 2,
Okay.
because for a couple of hundred years, the prevailing theory was that she was not an aristocratic wife, but instead a prostitute.
Woman of the night, huh?
Her hair being down and her almost
Wait, what was it?
head.
There are also theories that the painting is Leonardo's mom, or even Leonardo himself in drag. That's a bit far-fetched.
A prostitute. Her hair being down and her almost absent eyebrows were common traits of working girls at the time. Anyway, why is this painting
What was
common
that?
traits of working girls?
Black and eyebrows was common for prostitutes at the time. However, Mona Lisa was painted with eyebrows, which is yes, that I know that they faded away just over time.
At the time. Anyway, why is this painting so famous? Well, Da Vinci was already pretty famous,
yeah,
and the painting got stolen. This became
Probably
a very
multiple
big
times.
news story, and her face suddenly started getting plastered on a whole bunch of newspapers and wanted posters, making her very recognizable. From there,
Pat on
she
the back
became
is
the
the
most famous painting, which is
that a real
why she
picture?
always looks so smug. Starry Night.
Hell
Vincent
yeah!
Van Gogh,
I love this picture.
I sure hope it does.
painted while he was
Great. I said picture it repeatedly. It's painting. I love the
in
painting.
the St. Paul de Musol Asylum. That's
I
here.
will put my passport
And
up,
this was
but I
the view
threw
from
it
his
away.
bedroom window. Here is the real view a few decades later. He chose not to paint the metal bars. Now, you can see that there are 11 stars in the sky here.
Okay.
Supposedly, that's reference to Joseph from the Bible. Joseph, he had a hard life. The minivan, he had a hard life too. And he hoped
Yeah, he
that he
did.
would be remembered at least once he was gone, like Joseph. And you know what? It worked out for him because everybody remembers
Yeah.
Van Gogh, and nobody remembers the guys who bullied him and called him a ginger.
I just remembered for no reason that in the Van Gogh episode of Doctor Who there was Bill Nye in it as well.
Also, there's kind of a theory that he was killed by some kid. Go check out Wendigoon's channel for more information on that one. Ah, the birth
I didn't
of
know there was a
Venus.
mystery around his death.
All right, let me tell you what's happening
I don't know
in this
much
one.
about his death.
So, there's this lady, Venus. She
Okay,
is
took
the
his own
goddess
life,
of beauty.
maybe.
And she is coming up out of the ocean in a big clam, right? Now, the clam is not a metaphor for her vagina. It's
Okay.
that she is the perfect pearl. Get it? Now, these two here are a divine wind. They are blowing her like a hot spoonful of soup towards the
Land.
shore. And she is carried all the way over to the beach. And this
sense
beach,
so
by
far.
the way, is a real place called Paphos. It's in Cyprus. Here is what it looks like in real life.
That's what Atomic Heart
Now,
was made.
when she arrives on the beach, a nymph shows up, which is this lady here, and she has a cloak, and she throws the cloak over Venus, and she says, "You know what? You're very special. One day they're gonna name a four-blade razor after you." Arrangement in black and grey number 1, also known as Whistler's Mother, most famous for its appearance in the Mr. Bean movie. Now, when Whistler's mother originally agreed to be painted, she agreed to be painted standing up, but she had to pose for so long that eventually she got quite tired and had to sit down.
Alright.
Here you go. And that became the famous pose. The Garden of Earthly Delights. All right, this one is probably my favorite because it looks like a Where's Waldo, and then the whole thing just goes completely off the rails. So,
It's a lot,
Mr.
yeah.
Anonymous, that's a name that's going to make a comeback, is doing all of this cool surreal stuff about 500 years ago. So let's start on
It
the
was
left.
kind of cool.
Here is Adam and Eve and the pre-incarnation of Jesus. And they are all hanging out
Okay.
in the Garden of Eden. Now what's going on in the middle bit? That's harder to explain. The best theory is either that this is Eden if people
Yeah,
were
that's
allowed back into the garden,
I
or if
thought.
they had never left in the first place, or if man had not committed original sin. But look at the size of that strawberry. Oh, here he is. Then on the right
Nice,
panel
found him.
is hell, or at least a very bad time. This is where Oddlaw would end up, that son of a bitch. Right, now, here's the interesting bit.
So maybe it's not Eden, or Eden is heaven. Like I'm thinking, if that's hell, then maybe this is heaven. But I don't know if the Garden of Eden is heaven or is just part of heaven. Because if it's part of heaven, this is not necessarily the garden itself, but it's just heaven, paradise.
It's
whatever.
not painted on a typical canvas. It's actually a sort of cabinet thing with 3 panels called a triptych. And the neat thing is, if you close the doors, more painting. That is the Earth, and that is the firmament. A perfect balance between flat Earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island.
Don't think that's true. Because it's still flat Earth. And it's just the dome that people keep saying that there is a dome. That's people never went to space because there's a dome. Whatever.
Earth and globe theory. A Sunday afternoon on the island of La Grangette. This thing is pretty big, and here's the real-life place it was painted after. Although they've beautified it even more with the office building at the back. What you may not know is that it is actually a sequel. First, George Seurat painted the left bank, and that's where all the working class sit. You see these guys that, you know, have a bit less money and stuff. Gross! And then this is the one that you all know, and that is on the right-hand bank. And all these people are a very bougie sort. That is Scrappy-Doo. And that's a monkey.
That's a monkey, yeah.
The Last Supper.
Okay. Didn't mean to say okay with him. What is it, like kind of a metaphor? I'm not sure if metaphor is the right word, about this human society where rich class and poor class just divided on two opposite sides of the river. Maybe.
So the scene is this:
some kind of social
all the
commentary
disciples are
on
gathered around, and this is the exact moment that Jesus declares, "Hey, by the way, I know one of you betrayed me." And this is everyone's shocked reaction.
That's what happens in the painting?
Except there's one guy who's just pretending to be shocked. And here is who everyone is. I thought this was Mary, by the way. Turns out that's John. Very progressive. And that's all of the paintings, and no one has attempted one since. And I wake up.
End of
Quickly, flip
art?
the Nord logo, Marianas Trench. Flip it the other way, 3 pyramids.
Oh. It'll be the
There's not much time. I gotta log into NordVPN so the corporations can't track me. Marketing companies, gangs,
I hate that
listening to me
knock.
through the walls.
It's too real.
Wake up again. I don't have much time. The feds are
She's
at my
not shooting
door.
for
Open up.
real.
I refuse to take my Nordmill pills. I wake up again. The demon in the corner of my room wants to access my NordVPN.
No.
I
Don't let him.
because I can use it on up to 6 different devices.
Thanks, Nordman.
I know the corporations are building
Nice of
profiles
you.
on me.
I
I
wouldn't
go to
do that.
Facebook. I go to Wikipedia. Then suddenly, I'm getting ads for feet on my Facebook. Big feet, big foot, big farmer. On Tuesday, I saw a red car. Coincidence? Huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. 4 sides to a triangle. Coincidence? There's a guy reacting to my life in the corner right now. 30-day money-back guarantee. What's the goddamn
There's another
catch?
one right here.
Time's going faster than usual, and only a limited time to get a great deal on a 2-year plan. I wake up again. It's the perfect Christmas present.
Who are you?
Wait a minute. My family died in a suspicious house fire. Skinwalker in my house. Changed location to Finland. Different regions have different prices on plane tickets and hotels. That ain't even a conspiracy. I take more microplastics so I can see through the ether.
We're coming in, Nordman.
Pizza time.
But they're too late. I click Hyperborea and I am untouchable. If you understood
He
anything that
escaped
happened in this
again.
ad, go to nordvpn.com/incognito to get a huge deal on a 2-year plan plus 4 bonus months. Ad over. All right, so this one is about how to spot a fake painting. I quite like this section, but it kind of got bogged down by all of its technical information, and it went quite long. So, here it is.
So is it
for the discerning
real or AI,
audience.
or
How to spot a fake painting.
or is it just a knockoff? Someone else painting it.
Glug, glug, glug. Oh my god.
You get some new mustache.
Is that a real Michelangelo?
I don't think he was a painter.
We're here now. Quick
Wasn't he a
hypothetical
sculptor?
lower tax
I
brackets.
could be wrong.
If paintings like this
Maybe he
one
dabbled. I
or
don't
this
know.
one go for literally gajillions of dollars, that's USD, then what's to stop someone from doing this? Then this, and then this, then this, and then saying it's real when it ain't. You know, faking a painting. Turns out,
What does?
not much at all. In fact, it can be very difficult to tell these fake-ass paintings from the ones that keep it real. There's a whole ass art to detecting these fakes, and it's become an arms race, where the authenticators find new ways of detecting, and the fakers find new ways to get around their methods.
Technology's advanced. Do you think that makes it harder to make good forgeries?
Nah, you can beat the forensics.
So, authentication. There are three main categories: provenance, connoisseurship, forensics. Let's start in alphabetical order. Provenance. Now, provenance follows the history of the painting, tracking down the previous sellers and the buyers, all the galleries that exhibited it, the hand-to-hand that it was passed through, all the way back to the original painter. However, the older the work, the harder it is, generally, to track the provenance.
Yeah.
Take, for example, the most expensive painting ever sold, the Salvator Mundi, the final Da Vinci, sold in 2017 for $400 million, and it can only be traced back to 1958. Back then, it was sold for £45. But in the other 500 years of its history, no one knew where this thing was. Even today, people still dispute whether it's genuine.
I think it's a real flim-flam. And this is a made-up piece of junk. I think it's fake art news. Real in drag. Then it turns up in America? In New Orleans? Oh, I see. I think we've wished this Da Vinci into existence. Here's the lost Leonardo that somebody once mentioned in a book.
Provenance has gotten a lot easier over time. You used to have to track down books
what's
and
that
read
guy?
catalogs and stuff, but now it's all online. Control plus F, there it is. So you see, kid, there's nothing online. Nothing. Tell me who you bought this from, you son of a bitch. Where did you get this? Tell me the name of the auction house that sold you it. Connoisseurship. Look at the work. Do you believe what you are seeing? How does it look? How does it taste? Are these ballpoint pen strokes those of a master artist? Luckily, there are people like Martin Kemp, who spend their whole careers focusing on single artists.
I've been dealing with Leonardo for, I suppose, about 50 years.
They can pick out the fakes. So, for example, when he was looking at La Bella Principessa, he went, yep, he uses the trois crayons. He's a left-handed artist. The proportions of the head and the face are all correct. You know what? I'm going to give this a big rubber stamp right there in the middle of the painting. Confirmed.
No, don't do that.
So, for the fakers, they have to have a keen understanding of who they are copying. One of the best fakers, Almir de Hore, for example, mastered the brushstrokes of artists such as Matisse, Modigliani, and Renoir so well that hundreds of museums are currently in possession of his works without even knowing it. Yes, well, Michelangelo is famous for his Cangiante painting techniques, and I can't see any of that here. You're 0 for 2, kid. You're going down. Forensics. This thing's going straight to the lab. You're about to have a paint brush up with the law. Masterpiece? More like you're a real masterpiece of shit, kid. Fuck you. Alright, now the people that solve murders have really changed the game when it comes to art forgeries by implementing radiocarbon dating. Radiocarbon dating. Carbon dating? Yeah, but it's not serious. Listen, you're made out of carbon, I'm made out of carbon. Paintings are made out of carbon.
True.
And when a thing is made out of carbon, there are these unusual isotopes of carbon-14, right? They're floating all throughout the air and the atmosphere.
I heard about
all living
carbon
things
dating, but
contain a trace of them.
Usually it's
they
for
are
like
taken in
archaeology
when
and
something
stuff.
eats, breathes, anything else. And that happens continuously throughout the life cycle. However, when the organism dies, it stops taking in new carbon, right? Which means it stops taking in new carbon-14. Same thing happens to a painting. You've stopped putting paint on the thing, no more carbon. Carbon-14 is an unstable isotope.
Fair enough,
and
I
it
guess.
decays at a very steady rate. Poof. It turns into nitrogen-14 and a beta particle.
Beta!
And because these carbon-14 atoms decay at a very steady rate, In principle, you can look at the proportional number of carbon-14 atoms and determine how old something is. More carbon-14, newer painting. Less carbon-14, older painting. In 1985, using this technique, they caught a guy, Robert Trotter, who forged a Sarah Hahn painting. Far too many carbon-14 atoms. Lock 'em up, boys.
Who knew?
But there are even simpler methods of testing the age of a pigment. 3 Jackson Pollock paintings were found to be fake when it was determined that the pigments on the canvas weren't sold until the 1960s. But Pollock was dead by 1956.
Okay.
Nowadays, there are huge pigment libraries that can be easily cross-referenced. So that shows the year a pigment was first introduced and what year it stopped being used. For example, anything that has titanium white has to have been produced in the last 80 years. I'm going to be honest with you, kid. Michelangelo never used the yellow Crayola. X-rays. Now,
you don't know
you can
that.
blast this thing with some radiation and look behind the painting to see what's underneath. For example, did the artist do a sketch first? Maybe this is painted over something else. If you look behind the Mona Lisa, you can actually see that she had a much larger head once, although maybe it just shrunk with age. And you can see that veil much more easily.
Van Gogh.
Also,
a lot of Van
X-ray
Gogh's
even further,
paintings.
you can see her fully formed skeleton.
Can you see the baby?
The art forgers of today are a wily
Anyway,
bunch.
Van Gogh's paintings
Forgers can
a lot of
source
them were
old canvases
repainted
from
on
the
top of
correct
the old
period.
ones.
They can
'cause
use
he was
error-matching pigments. Even the carbon dating can be a bit unreliable. Heck, even the X-rays can be bullshitted, as forgers take into account that their work will be X-rayed, as they do a sort of fake painting or sketch first, and then paint the next version on top. Alright, kid, I'll give you $20,000 for this, or a shiny new bottle of Ritalin. Works every time.
Is that American medical practices? I don't know what Ritalin's for.
This section is about Shakespeare. Wow, that would make so much sense for it to be in the theatre video on the main channel.
Okay.
This dude showed up and changed the game. Shakespeare. Here's the thing though. We basically know nothing about him. First, we don't know what he looked like. There are 2 best guesses. One is from this engraving on a first folio. But that wasn't put together until 7 years after he was already dead. One of his peers, Ben Jonson, knew him though and said, yeah, it's pretty close. So maybe. The second is a bust that was made for his grave. There are a bunch of others, but they weren't commissioned by Shakespeare himself. They weren't done while he was alive.
Probably
and
based
he didn't
on
exactly
those
stop
two.
to pose for them. But these are the ones we most recognize him by. This includes Chandos, which is probably the most recognizable. So this could be him, or this could be some completely other dude, or it could be an idealized version. Now, we also don't know exactly when he was born, or when he died, or how he died. His birthday is celebrated on the 23rd of April, but there's no record of that. And then he died on the 23rd of April as well. So he died on his birthday? Odd coincidence. But we know that he
Not
did marry a
impossible,
lady
but
named Anne Hathaway.
yeah.
Yes, same as Catwoman, but this one was the original. We also don't even really know how to spell his name. There are tons of different signatures by him, but they're practically all spelt differently. And let's not even get started on the conspiracies of whether or not he really wrote his plays. The son of 2 illiterate parents from a lower-class neighborhood suddenly becoming the world's greatest playwright? Bit suspicious. Also, whether he was gay, or worse, whether he was foreign, or what the hell is going on with his grave. So if you go to the Holy Trinity Church in Stratford, there is his grave. There he lays, but there is an engraving above him. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he who moves my bones. Cursed, you see. You're not allowed to dig him up. So everyone is super spooked out by the curse, and they refuse to dig him up. So archaeologists instead have done radar scans. Turns out
there are bones there?
his head is missing.
What?
He was grave robbed in 1794. So we can't even reconstruct him that way. And they won't open it up for DNA tests. So it's likely that we will never know the truth. The government is hiding something. The point is, Shakespeare stole a theatre at one point. Okay, quick Shakespeare moment.
Okay.
In 1599, Shakespeare was
moment.
working as a playwright with his acting troupe called the Lord Chamberlain's Men. Now, they were leasing out a theatre in Shoreditch called the Theatre. Creative name. Anyway, they
Fair
had
enough.
a disagreement with their landlord, Giles Allen. Giles revoked their lease. Shakespeare
How
and the Chamberlain's
dare
Men were
you.
not very happy about that, but they had no option but to walk away. But a few days later, in the dead of night, they came back. Now, the group met up just outside the theatre,
Sneaky.
and they had bribed the watchman to look the other way. Then, with daggers and tools in hand, they broke into the theatre. Now, they weren't there to kill Giles, and they weren't there to steal stuff from the theatre.
No doubloons.
They were there to rob the theatre. They tore down the entire building, piece by piece, and they started carting it away to a warehouse.
Do you want to
From
reveal
there,
it in a
they
different
ferried
spot?
it across the Thames and over to Southwark.
The
With the
London
materials
Bridge
that
to
they
the
stole, they
theatre?
constructed the Globe Theatre. And there it stood for the next 14 years until it burnt down. Whoops. It was a performance of Henry VIII.
Coincidentally,
And a prop
probably.
cannon was involved.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. But then
Okay.
it was rebuilt. But then in 1642 it was shut down again. But in 1997, a recreation of the Globe Theatre was made once more. And in London, you can visit it today. As long as you can avoid being stabbed.
Go for chip. I'll go for chip on a Tuesday, mate. That's not. Forget about it.
And
That's
now
not
for
it.
the best
Nothing.
section of all.
Didn't say anything.
Come on, people, we're ready to shoot. Where's the pizza box with the hole in it?
Oh. Never
What are
mind,
you
that's
filming,
like you. I
Mr.
gotta
Historian?
go. Catch you soon. Don't forget NordVPN.
Catch you on your main channel, Mr. Historian, and your pizza box
2007.
with a hole in it. All right. Pizza time. However, good video. I like this video a lot. I actually like this video more because I'm not interested in fancy things at all. But if we're gonna put it on scale, I'm more interested in paintings than in theater. Also, there were many more familiar names and pieces here than there were in the other one. Also, I was able to show off my cool new passport cover that no one cares about, and probably only three people did not skip that me running away from the camera view. And to those three people, I applaud you. Anyway, great video. I guess I'm gonna upload it now. The first comment under the video is so funny to see him go from internet history to just regular historian. True. I mean, it's not a big leap. It's history nonetheless, but still, it is interesting. And I guess I'm gonna end this here. So, thank you everybody for watching this. I appreciate it a lot. And I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. Have a great life, because one of us has to.